This is the BS.
Hey, thanks for being here. It's the BS. My name's Jason Bailey. Nikki D's out. Be back tomorrow. There is Nelson and a friend of mine who has a new book. It's called MTV Famous. You also might have seen Pete, if you've ever seen Bret Michaels and his solo stuff, like right now, the Party Gras Tour, which is a phenomenal tour. Poison's one of my favorite bands, so like Pete, who's Bret's guitarist, I grew up a fan of Poison, so this book, MTV Famous, is like really makes a lot of sense because Pete, you and I have the same mindset when it comes to this kind of stuff. You're just in the world. I just talk about the world. Is that we grew up on MTV, and you decided to write a book about it. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Excellent. I'm loving the pictures from both you and Bret from this Party Gras tour, dude. You guys are having a blast out there.
Brother, and you've known him for a long time. We're having a lot of fun now, but we put a lot of work into making that what it was. It was, he doesn't stop at anything, and the reports are great. We tried something brand new, and I remember the first night last month waiting to hear the reviews and hearing, when you're in the music business, you get kicked down a lot, so you always expect that. And I waited to hear the reviews, this what is this? This is weird having guest singers or whatever. But everybody embraced it, man. Everywhere we look, all the reports and everything are that everyone had a good time, and it was something kind of fresh to the industry and a neat idea, and just thank God it worked, man, because Bret's had this idea in his head for 12 to 15 years trying to make this Party Gras thing happen like it did, and the fans seem to embrace it. You say it yourself. See the pictures. It was a good time.
Yeah, and that's always been Bret's thing is he wants everybody to be a part of the party, and it's like the stage setup. It's so simplistic, but it's a lot of fun.
That's right.
It's
right.
It kind of gives a little like Sammy Hagar Cabo type of feel, in the background. And I think what was the show I was at when I was back in Georgia, and that's when I met the guys from Lit and Hoobastank, and they came out, and Bret always brings people up for nothing but a good time. And I remember saying to the guy from Lit afterwards, because he was like, "Why didn't you come up with us?" I was like, "Bro, I've been there, I've done that, and I look like an idiot. I'd much rather be a fan and watch you guys do your thing up on stage."
Right. You said that night. I think I was standing there. I remember that conversation. But, but you're a superstar. Or you're a superstar on other media, man.
Oh, thank you. Stop. You're sweet. So let's talk about the book, MTV Famous, because I talk about this often, actually, with just when I talk about music. Growing up on MTV, especially for those that don't realize that they used to play music videos and stuff, they made and broke artists and bands. Like Billy Squier got crushed from MTV,
right.
Not because MTV tried to crush him. It's because he put out a really horrible music video. But then there were bands like Poison, Quiet Riot, all the hair bands, Warrant, and, even Crew back in the day that MTV made. MTV reinvented Aerosmith for the most part.
Right. Well, you're a radio guy. For a long time, MTV crippled radio. It's funny when people think about the impact that satellite radio may have had on terrestrial radio. I don't think it nearly put a dent in it the way that in the 80s that MTV did. I mean, they coexisted. Everything was perfect. But my point was, you may have had what was considered a hit song on MTV, but that wasn't a hit song at radio. It wasn't the same.
Right. The video was better than the song, maybe. Right.
Right. And a lot of times one would feed the other, but there were a lot of occasions, a lot of that, the hard rock and hair metal stuff, not the big stuff like Bon Jovi and Poison and Van Halen, but some of the stuff that wasn't necessarily that huge at radio dominated the airwaves, like Stryper, for instance. Stryper always had a number one video or something happening on MTV, but it never really transpired to the radio waves. So it was two dynamics going on at the same time. But if you were lucky, like Van Halen or Poison or Motley Crue or Bon Jovi, and had a hit at both, you were a superstar. There was nothing like it.
And to your point, Pete, in those days, people listened to, well, let's call it terrestrial radio at home.
Right.
Now actually we're seeing a resurgence of that because of smart speakers where people can just say, hey, Alexa, play 98 Rock Sacramento, or hey, Alexa, play The Bailey Show, and it'll bring it up. Yeah, I did that on purpose. But it'll bring it up. But in those days, you couldn't, or you could, but you were either listening to the radio at home or you were watching MTV waiting for the music video to come on.
Right. And I talk about that in the book. I talk about how the world premieres would play every 4 hours on cue, and no matter where I was, for the Panama video is the prime example.
Yeah.
That wherever I was in middle school at that time, so I was still young and I had a bike. No matter where I was, every 4 hours I would pedal as fast as I could to get home to make sure I watched that Panama video at all costs. And that's how we live, man. You were there too,
It was Michael Jackson Thriller that comes to my mind. And I can remember learning how clocks worked, like in radio. So, different radio stations have different ways that they play music. Top 40, pop music, popular music. For the big songs, they'll play it every 42 minutes. And I, as like a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old, sitting there waiting for Thriller, and I timed it out that every 47 minutes they were playing Thriller. So
you figured it out.
I figured out the algorithm, and you would wait because Michael Jackson was so big at that time. You wanted to learn the dance because people learned the dance. People were doing things in the videos. So now when you hear music, especially like in the rap world where they have a lot of different terminology that people are going to use for pop culture, they're using that, mimicking that because of the song. When MTV was at its highest point, right, people were mimicking what was done in the video.
Oh, without a doubt. That's exactly how it was.
You wanted to have the knife fight from Beat It.
Yes.
You wanted to jump off the stage like David Lee Roth.
That's right.
That
it's so funny you say that. Even though I was growing up as a guitar player and really never thought much about being a singer till later in life, when Yankee Rose came out, I would jump off my couch and do those kind of split things he would do. You acted that stuff out, man. It changed who you were daily by what you were watching.
Well, let me tell you something, Pete. I was able to, and I just thought about this, I was able to live one of my dreams from a music video later in life because Brett brought me up on stage. I think it was the 25-year reunion. And right. And that's the video that's up on YouTube that I can never watch that's up there. But anyway, at the end of Nothing But a Good Time in the video, where it breaks down and gives you the anthem, right?
Right.
And he has the green mic pole and he's pressing it over his head like a military press.
Yeah.
And so the night that I came out there, it was me, Edwin McCain, Brad Arnold from Three Doors, and my buddy Bubba Ray Dudley. And for some reason, I'm center stage and drunk, and it's like 4th of July or something like that. And so I pretended I had the mic pole in my hand, and I'm doing the breakdown, the doof, doof. And all I can think is I'm a kid watching MTV, and that was my favorite part in that video.
You know what? I feel you. It gives me chills hearing you talk about that. And here I am 20 years later. I've toured the entire world with Brett. We've done so much stuff as a guitar player. And almost every night during the guitar solo to Every Rose, I'm 51 years old now, but almost every night during guitar solo to Every Rose, I turn into 18-year-old Pete again. And, and I look over and I go, is this really happening? Is this, I still have that moment, man. We've been, we played in front of crowds as big as 125,000 people. I've been doing this for 20 years. I survived the Rock of Love era, the Apprentice era, all this stuff. But I still, right when we hit that guitar solo Every Rose, I'm a kid again.
What about some of the artists that you get to play with? I know Mark McGrath has been out on tour with you guys, and you guys are very good friends. But there's always just random artists.
Yeah, so you just mentioned, and he's absolutely one of my favorites of all time. Last week in Atlanta, Edwin came out and sang with us, and what an incredible voice that guy has. blows my mind every time I hear him sing. And he came out in a couple of weeks. We're doing one with Dee Snider is going to be our guest, and Lou Graham from Foreigner. But I'm super excited about Dee. Me and Dee are friends, and I played events with Dee. I've been in Dee's band on a couple of special occasions for different things. But he's also Twisted Sister was the first real live concert I ever saw in my life. So anytime I get to do anything with Dee, I get super, super excited. And we get to play with all kinds of people. And more than that, man, on this Party Girl, all kinds of, the Practical Jokers kept coming out and hanging out with us. The guy that plays the Mandalorian, who was John Wayne's grandson, came to one of the shows. And I'm a giant Star Wars fan. It was a giant party, man. It's still an honor anytime some kind of celebrity or someone that I grew up hanging out or grew up looking up to is now kind of my buddy. Brad Gillis, a Night Ranger, was I had a couple of buddies of mine from high school at the Tampa show, or it was the Atlanta show, and Brad walked into my dressing room and I just said, "Hey, Pete, how you doing?" And my friend's jaws dropped because that was Brad Gillis from Night Ranger,
Yeah.
And but I'm grateful, man. You and me have been buddies for a long time. I'm grateful to know anybody. I'm grateful to know everybody like you. To me, it's exciting to me to talk to you and hang out with you. You've been a radio DJ and celebrating and pushing the word out for so long. That we're all part of that same thing, and I'm grateful to know everybody.
Do you ever, Pete, with these in the book MTV Famous again? By the way, it's on Amazon. Just go to Amazon.com, type in MTV Famous, and you can find the book. I'd highly suggest you pick it up. But when you're meeting these people, like let's say Dee, for example, do you ever want to just turn to them and go, "What do you want to do with your life?"
Can I tell you? Brett was on the Impractical Jokers, and Paul Rudd happened to just stop by to hang out and watch a taping of the show. And I kept looking over at Paul. Me and him and his kids were the only people in the green room area. And I would look over and I would think, do I just send him a movie quote? Because I'm a big Paul Rudd fan from like the funny movies and stuff like that he's been part of.
Yeah.
And I don't do that. I do that more with Mark McGrath than anybody because he has a lot of funny one-liners. I don't ever make jokes about like with his song lyrics, but he has this one line that he'll come out and he'll go, "Off the charts, but still in your hearts." and I think that's hilarious. And then everyone's like, I'm a big Mark McGrath fan, and he'll do a song and he'll end the song and the fan will cheer, and he'll go, "Oh, you do remember Smash Mouth," and I like his humor, and I'll make jokes with him, but I've never kind of recited a video line. Well, you know what? I've said a lot of things to Ace Frehley over the years. Who knows what I've said to him? So.
What would you? Okay, so I like you, Pete. Big Paul Rudd fan. Big Judd Apatow fan. Love all the movies. What line would you have said to Paul Rudd if you wanted to be that guy? I can tell you mine.
So do you know the movie Role Models?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. There's so many lines in that movie, but I would have probably said to him, being a musician, I want to rock and roll. What's he say? I want to rock and roll
all night and part of every day.
Part of every day.
Yeah.
Or the line in there when he goes, "Vente." Is that true? About the coffee cup size or whatever?
Yeah. Now you're stupid in two languages.
Yeah, you're stupid in two languages. Yeah, because it's not even big; it's tall. I would have looked at him and seriously been, "Excuse me, sir, have you seen my Starfish?" From This Is 40. This is my wife and I's our favorite movie. We can watch that thing over and over again. That movie over and over again. It's the best movie. I can't wait for them to do This Is 50, which they're supposedly doing.
That'd be great. All those movies are so funny, but I don't know that they could make those movies today. Like all the kind of new just I guess politically correct stuff.
Right.
You couldn't make Anchorman today.
No. Well, I mean, you go back even farther in some of the movies, like there's just no way that you're going to do it. But I mean, think about, if you look at the forced political correctness of television or movies, in Hollywood, but also look at music. I mean, you would have to probably agree with rock bands, how they've changed. I mean, there was, in the 70s, there was kind of a, this is what we're singing about. This is what's going on in the world. We've got a message to give. In the 80s, it was sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Nowadays, sex, drugs, and rock and roll is, I don't know if it's even cool anymore to say that out loud.
You know what, buddy? You saying that, I have an actual very personal situation with what you're talking about. Is my 21-year son has launched a career in the music business, and he's very much wanting to capture the essence of the 80s hard rock. And there's a handful of bands his age out trying to do that right now. And me and him write some music together, because I can certainly authentically write that stuff. But he's come to me to help him write with lyrics. And again, being a 51-year-old man, I can't write anything that is relatable to anyone today, and we're seeing exactly that. What do you write about in rock and roll right now? My 21-year-old son is going through exactly what you're talking about.
Right, exactly. I mean, you think about some of the songs and you take them for what they were. They were just songs, you know. I mean, Once Bitten, Twice Shy, take from Great White. I mean, there's some lyrics in that. It's just, if we take things, not we, but people, society takes things too literally versus metaphorically. But that was
right.
that was the life, sex, drugs, rock and roll. That was the thing. But drugs aren't cool I mean, people take them, people die,
right.
But nobody goes, "Hey, dude, I was so on fentanyl last night, I was screwy." Nobody says that out loud.
You know what's funny is you're absolutely correct. I think that while that life itself is not celebrated as much publicly, I think there's a lot more probably drug use and stuff like that going on with individuals across the country. I think there's a lot more of that than there used to be, but it's certainly not celebrated as just, hey, we're having a good time anymore.
Well, Pete, would you agree it's more casual now?
Yeah, I would say that.
Like the random person, they're not going to a rock show, but they are doing cocaine at their house.
But they're doing the drugs for the wrong reason.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if there's a right reason.
Right.
They're doing it.
That's exactly what I'm trying to say. You're and me are on the same page.
Yeah, they're doing the drugs because they got some issues, or there's a reason that's a serious reason versus,
yes.
You know what? I need to stay up all night. I need a bump.
Right. We only live once.
I've got
that
5
attitude.
girls in my room right now.
Right.
I am not going to bed, but I got to get up at 8 because I got to be in Minnesota. So,
Yeah.
I don't know anything about any of that. Nothing.
Yeah. Well, look, I am pushing behind the scenes to try to get the Party Gras tour to come out to Sacramento now that I'm out here. So.
Right. We just missed you because we played in the Sacramento area right at the beginning of the year. We were like the first or second act at the new Hard Rock out there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I think I had just spoke to you before that, and you were not there yet. But
I wasn't here yet. Yeah, no.
We may be back there again by the first of the year or shortly after. It's certainly we're coming back that way.
Okay. Well, I look forward to it. And
he's got a big driveway. We could put a stage up there, man. It's a pretty nice neighborhood.
yeah, do you think Brett would be open to doing a show in my driveway?
You know what? You've known that guy a long time. I bet you for you he would.
That's sweet.
Oh, that's high praise.
MTV Famous is the book, Amazon.com. Just a side note, because I lit this the other day. Believe it or not, the guitarist for Bret Michaels, our guest, Pete Evick, has a very successful candle business.
Oh.
Shining Soul, SOL.com. And the candles are phenomenal. If you've ever seen any of the video of me doing like the podcast or stuff from my house, it sits right behind me.
Okay.
It's my Evick candle.
You have been such a supporter of that. I probably owe you some royalties or something, man. But
my wife loves the candle. She does. She loves it.
The times I spoke to you and her in person, I see it in her face and your face that you're not messing with me, that I truly believe you guys love them, and I'm so grateful.
Oh, dude, I'm for real. Like, I wouldn't even talk about it if I didn't.
Right?
Who doesn't like a good scent, right? You know? All right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
and
man.
Thank you for the plug on the book, man. It's I'm getting such great reviews about it. Between the Party Gras and some other things, was a slow start getting the press out for it, and for you taking the time to help let your listeners hear about it, man. It's so far on Amazon we got 5-star reviews, and it's been you can type it in line and read the reviews, and everybody seems to be loving it. And I hope people take a chance and just check it out.
Yeah, excellent book. I mean, I know it's just August, but it's never too early to start getting people Christmas prizes. So MTV Famous, Amazon.com. Pete Evick, I'll see you soon, my friend. I'll talk to you even sooner, all right?
All right, buddy. Thank you so much.
All right, we'll see you. Bye-bye. All right.
On 98 Rock.